Please go more into details about the neglectful narcissist, someone who literally doesn't care about anything. A lot of narcissists don't care about anything. Neglectful narcissists I've never heard as being like an actual like subcategory of it. Even with like Dr. Ramani and different people that I've like, read up on. Do you believe most narcissists are males? Even the DSM-5 does. So it's like, what is it, like 60 to 70% per the DSM-5 say that. I speak from the male frame because I am a male. So therefore, I speak from what I know. Sometimes people ask about it from like the women's side, and I talk to different guys who've been abused by female narcissists. But it's not my niche. Like I don't get it. I don't understand it. And some of it's the same and very similar, which is why some guys reach out for help. But otherwise, like I don't get the nuances like I do on this side. Can the narcissist change? What I would say really simply is no one can change without honesty. And that's the piece. We'll run into this. I'll work with people, or I'll be on initial calls and I'll have to be like, hey, it doesn't seem like you're actually ready to change. Whether that's the narcissist or whether that's survivor. Sometimes we'll just call it out like that because we're like, hey, you're on this call to actually move forward in some type of healing process. Maybe you want to actually start to be honest, want to actually put your marriage together. Maybe you want to heal from it. But if you're not willing to be honest about what's going on, honest about where you are, we can't really work with that. That's one of the hardest things. Triangulation. Can you give more info on that? So when we talk about triangulation, there's a couple different ways to look at it. Obviously, think of it as being like a triangle, right? And so you have two different people, and then typically there's this communication piece that happens with the narcissist at the head point. Okay, so like you might never interact. You might be person A, and you might never interact with person B because the narcissist has already pitted you guys against each other. So he's triangulated you against each other, and you're already like, yeah, I don't like that person when you don't know anything about them. That could be done multiple ways. You can have it be like the mother and daughter relationship getting triangulated from the narcissist. But really, a lot of times what it is the narcissist is using that to be able to get more attention from both people, and oftentimes using that to isolate you from other people out there as well. I'm saying that I was the third party at first. Yeah, a lot of times they'll do that and then they'll switch. Their accusations are just their autobiography. Do they really constantly project? Yes, a lot of that is projection, projecting onto you, so they don't have to deal with the stuff that's inside. If the narcissist texts me after giving me the silent treatment for 2 weeks to tell me that he met someone and she's very nice, is he trying to provoke a reaction from me? Yes, I would say that. I would say unless you need to communicate because of kids or separation, go ahead and block, ghost, go no contact. Like focus on you. Otherwise, you're going to leave the door open. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to block because that shows that he triggered me, or that shows that he has control over me. You don't understand. When you don't block, the narcissist is like, yes, I have a window. I have a door to be able to get through. And then I say this to try to wake some of you up because some of you are at the point where you're like, block or unblock, I could do it, but like I don't really want to because I'm not that mean. I'm not that bad person. The narcissist is counting on that. The narcissist is counting on you to be naive enough to leave the door open so that he can text and get through. And you're like, no, he wouldn't do that. Watch him. Like the longest Hoover that we know about from people that have mentioned in comments has been like 29 years. She didn't block, walked back into her life. It happens. So unless you pass the 29-year mark, like don't count your chickens. Like you need to be able to understand, like as you're going through this, the narcissist is looking for a door to be open. When you stop closing the door out of the kindness of your heart, you're saying no to yourself. It's not that you're saying no to the narcissist. You're saying no to yourself. You're saying, I don't really care about my healing that much that I'm going to separate from the toxicity that's in my life. I don't actually value myself enough to say, no, I'm not going to go there anymore. I'm not valuing myself enough to say, I'm no longer going to have this addiction in my life. And as a result, there's going to be no way for it to come back into my life. That's the thing you have to understand. Narcissist counts on you being naive enough to leave. Good father, do you mean how he treated you? because how he treated you is how he's going to treat the kids, but it's also the example that he's setting by having a broken family, by having a broken household, by treating you like shit, whatever it might be. Like, let's stop parsing these apart. Like, good father doesn't mean the guy shows up and he's nice to the kids. A good father means he's actually building a strong family and a strong household that shows the kids what a true father actually does for love and actually cares about the other person. You want to talk about a narcissist and being a father? Eventually down the road, he'll treat your kids like shit just like he treats you like shit. You need to understand this. It might take a while, but what kind of example is he leaving them? You're like, well, he's nice to them. Okay, but is he mean to you? Well, yes. Okay, then he's a liar because he's showing two different versions. This is the piece you have to understand. There's not this aspect of like, he's a good guy in this sense, and then he's a bad guy here. It's the same thing that you're struggling with the cognitive dissonance. He's nice in public, and then he's awful to you at home. So he's nice to the kids, and then he's mean to you. That is not a good father. That's an asshole. That's a coward. That's a liar. He's not willing actually to stand up as a man. If you don't like that, you can unfollow me because that's my stand on it, and I will continue to stand on that forever. A good father shows the importance of being a good husband. There you go. Summed up what I said way better really quickly. My dad is a narcissist. He was worse to me than he was to my mom. Yeah. A lot of times it gets worse for the kids. He makes their son call him everywhere, every time to know where he is, and I feel it's just control me. I can't be free. Yeah. So like with that, if you're already divorced and you have a parenting agreement, or maybe you can get a parenting agreement or a communication agreement, you're going to have to go with like parallel parenting, and you're going to have to separate it completely. So like when your son's with him, you can't call him. When your son's with you, he can't call him. Like you have to have something to be able to set the line there. Okay. Why do narcissists always walk ahead of you? I don't know. I don't have the best answer to that. We've tried to do different videos on it. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes it's sense of superiority, sense of purpose, sense of direction. Like there'd be all this kind of different stuff. Sometimes it's like, hey, like trying to be able to focus on like other people. Like if I'm walking ahead, then you can't see what I'm looking at, what I'm doing. Like there's a lot of different things with it. How to protect the narcissist from child father? You heal yourself. Like, if you don't hear anything from any of this today, whether that's you want to reach out, whether it's you want to help, like if you don't hear anything today, everybody that's on here, when you have kids and you're like, how do I help my kids? Heal yourself. I mean it. Because out of your healing comes your kids' redemption. Because right now, many of you are trying to figure out, how do I help my kids, when you haven't taken time to help yourself? You're constantly pouring from an empty glass, hoping that it fixes the kids when it's not, because they still don't see mom being able to deal with the triggers because she doesn't have the tools to be able to do it. She hasn't had to process the triggers. She hasn't broken the trauma bond. And it's still like, how do I help my kids? You can't help your kids if you were dealing with an empty glass. This is the biggest thing. If you can hear this, like if you can hear this, if you have kids today and you're not making time and effort for you to grow and develop, like, I don't care if that's you work with us or not. Like if you work with Raw Motivations, great. But like if you don't work with me, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Like it'll continue to be the same. You have to have different tools. You have to have different frames. You have to have different thoughts to be able to change your reality of what's currently going on. That's the biggest thing. If you want to really help your kids heal yourself, go all in on you, work on you, invest in you, because that is the one thing that will help your kids more than anything else. Because they won't get that help from anyone else. But they can get that from you if you're willing to take this step forward. If you want to talk to me, if you want to reach out, you can go to Raw Motivations Coaching. We'd love to have you watch one of the videos we have there and be able to book a call. If you're at the place where you're like, hey, I just want to start somewhere, I need to start now, click on the link in the bio. Go to escapetoxicity.com, because that's our first entry level to have you understand the awareness, have you start down the journey of you actually investing in you, you actually building you back up. Until you build you back up, there is no you to be able to help parent.